What up YouTube? Today is my first recording of Infinity Wars. Now, Infinity Wars has recently been released as a open beta on Steam, and it's a online trading card game. Now, unlike my friends KL Jaeger and MC Nolze, I have decided to play Infinity Wars instead of Hearthstone. Now, this is from my own personal choice. I will be doing some playthroughs of Hearthstone with MC Nolze later on once I've developed more of my deck. But unlike Hearthstone, I took to this game like a duck to water. Solely because of its rather tactical play style. Now, before I show you any of the play features in the actual game, I'm going to show you my deck, which is quite interesting to say the least. Now, Infinity Wars consists of factions, and the only way you can build a deck is if you either build it with one faction, two, or three. But to do that, you need to have units from each faction in your command zone. Now, these cards which I've selected, Brings Life by Passing, Caretaker of the Young, and Infectious Zombie, are part of my commanders. These will basically be allowed to be played straight off the bat, providing I have the right amount of resource to summon them. Now, you're probably thinking, Lewis, what is the actual point in mixing wild animals with the undead? Now, this is where the game gets interesting. Each deck has its own method of play. For example, these guys, the Warpath, the green cards. These rely on a system of strengthening numbers. They're basically your standard Zerg rush. And the way they rush you is by using breeders, such as Breeding Grounds, Caretaker of the Young. Early game, you need to focus on getting as many of the breeders out as you can and just building a massive military stockpile of these bad boys. Now, I understand they may not look much compared to others, but like I said, strength in numbers. Now, my train of thought was that because I'm going for the whole strength in numbers tactic, it would be best to have a deck that turned your opponent's numbers against them. Which is why I decided to go for the Sleepers of Avarash as well. Now, the Sleepers of Avarash are essentially your standard undead. They focus solely on the enhancement of their own damage levels through the falling of their own troops and the resurrection of those troops with cards such as Awaken. Now, I can't fully access the total power of the Sleepers because this is a hybrid deck and the rapid resurrection card that I needed is a 2 purity. You can tell a card's purity by the number of their emblem that appears. Say for example this one. This has a purity of 1, meaning that as long as I have one commander card of that faction in my command zone, I can use it in a deck. So you'll find no 2+ purity Sleepers of Avarash in my deck. But I digress. Going back to our original train of thought, this is basically a enemy resurrection and Zerg rush deck. In the early stages, that is what you need to focus on with this kind of deck. Building up your numbers, turning your enemy's numbers against them, and then mid-game you want to focus on amplifying the amount of damage your numbers can do with things like the Pack Leader. Now, cards like the Pack Leader and Hakim. They focus on the use of damage amplification abilities such as Unstoppable. If you kill an enemy with a monster that has Unstoppable, you'll be able to attack a second time with that monster, allowing you to basically attack your opponent directly. Whereas the pack leader just gives you a +3 buff to your vitality and attack power. Now, this deck is very cost heavy later on in the game, because you have to spend this card and one of these together to summon another one with lesser stats, and for this you need to spend 2 of those to get one with just about the same damage, if not more. Yeah, just a little bit less. 6 attack, 6 vitality. Now, going for a deck that focuses on 2 factions alone wasn't good enough, which is why I decided to throw in a few factionless cards like Defense Golem, Explore, Firebolt, and Wealthy Noble. Now, Wealthy Noble and Brings Life by Passing have the same effect. As long as they're on the battlefield, I gain another 1 resource, which is really effective on this kind of deck because you have to spend a lot to get a lot. You'll also notice that there are a fair few cards that look very similar. Now, this game does have a backstory. Each faction in the game has a backstory. The Sleepers of Avarosh were asleep for centuries, maybe even a millennia. The whole idea was that their leader had fallen in love with a woman who was deathly ill, and driven by that love and the greed to keep her alive, he tried to come up with some form of technology that would essentially resurrect her. But unfortunately that technology got out of his hands and spread across the people of Avarosh, causing them to become what you see now. Now, the people of Avarosh, the Sleepers even, their deck focuses on, as I said, amplification of their own units' damage, manipulation of their enemies' cards, and the repulsion of their cards as well. But enough about that. You've presumably seen my entire deck. If not, I'll run through them for you. I have 2 copies of Brings Life by Passing in my deck, 3 copies of Caretaker of the Young, 3 copies of the Infectious Zombie, 1 Breeding Ground, 3 Defense Golems, 11 Endless Hordes, 1 Explore, 1 Fight, 2 Firebolts, 1 Hakim, 1 Hunt, 11 one of many's, but you'll see a whole lot more of those in battle. 2 pack leaders, Rift to the Old World, Tribal Medicine, Wealthy Noble, 2 copies of that, Awaken, Fear, 3 one of many Exhumed, and 2 Zombie Scavengers. Now, I haven't really advanced to the point where I can go on PvP yet. So, if you take a look here, player versus player doesn't unlock until level 4 and 5. So, let's go for Corpus Zergade, that's the name of my deck. And let's battle the Cult of Varor. Okay, game time. Here's how the map plays out. You have your primary hand, your command deck, your deck, the graveyard, the support zone, which you place monsters you summon from your hand into, to wait to be deployed into defensive or offensive zones. As you can see, the map has been flipped on the enemy's side, which is perfectly logical. Now, unfortunately, I've been dealt a pretty bomb hand, so what I've got to do is wait until the next turn. Fortunately, Varroa didn't get that much of a good hand either. So let's start off the show by bumping up the amount of resources I have and playing Brings Life by Passing. As long as Brings Life by Passing is on the field, you have one extra resource. That'll kick in next turn, giving me a grand total of 4, I presume. Yep. Now, I'm not sure what to do at this point. I could spend 3 points and summon my defense golem, which will give me a strong defense should anything happen. That'll keep him busy for a few turns. Or I could go for my command deck. Assuming he doesn't have any monsters stronger than mine, I could play that as a defensive and have his monster appear in my support zone the next turn. So, being the wise man I am, I'll play Infectious Zombie. Now, I have 2 resource left. So, to help me get my strength up even quicker, I'll put another Brings Life by Passing into my field. Now, this one is red because I played it from my hand. Summoning this has exhausted it, giving it summoning sickness, so to speak. I can't use it until the next turn. Although I wouldn't really want to use it because it doesn't have any offensive capabilities. Cards like this, which I like to call benefactors, 0 attack and 4 vitality. They're either cannon fodder, or if they have an effect like this one, they count as benefactors. So you want to keep those in your support zone to help bump up your money. Okay, their move. And they have summoned Varroa, Death Worshipper. Whenever an enemy character dies without being sacrificed, Varroa, Death Worshipper gets 2 attack and vitality. Now, this could be a threat. So I want to play it nice and safe. I want to make sure that if she does summon that, I wipe it out quickly. Now, I have a pack leader, which I could bring onto here, and then move into the assault zone, giving my Infectious Zombie an increase in attack. But I also have a One of Many and a Caretaker of the Young. I also have Endless Hordes. Now, by playing these 2, I'll have 2 waiting in the wings. I'll deploy one to the assault zone and then another into the defense zone and swap them around so that it's the Endless Horde that goes first. Or I could go for a double jeopardy and bring out the defense golem and the One of Many. So let's play these and hope for the best. I personally believe that the Varroa Death Worshipper will be played in the assault zone, being the foolhardy AI it is. Heatwave. 2 damage to all enemy characters. Now this is where the Cult of Varroa really gets my goat. But on the plus side, I've only just noticed this, I can actually use the Caretaker of the Young's ability while she's in the command zone, meaning I don't have to take her out. So let's cast that, bring that in, and one of those. Move this over here, and this over here. End my turn. Dark Wish. Create a 16/16 flying demon character, or draw 3 cards, or you can search your deck for any card and put it into your hand, or you can deal 10 damage to a target character, or raise a target character from your graveyard to your support zone. Now this is what I mean by high purity cards. As you can see in the top left hand corner, this card has 3 purity, meaning you need a total worshipper of Varroa deck Now, the Cult of Varor focuses on just being able to reach anything, being able to manipulate anything to how they want it to go down. And what they've done is choose to summon a 16/16 demon. Now, this is not good. I have 0 attack on my golem and only 18 health. It could only take 1 hit and then be gone for the rest of the turn. But, if you notice here, I now have 3 of the one of many, thanks to the breeders. So what I'll do, I'll deploy a cannon fodder here and move these here. I'll then follow up by adding another cannon fodder endless horde, play pack leader, activate this card and send this one back. Now, Fear is a good repellent card, but unfortunately they haven't played anything yet, so I wouldn't want to use that immediately. But I do know one thing I can use. Target character you control and target character an opponent controls on the battlefield deal combat damage to each other equal to their power. Now, what I can do with this is use my infectious zombie on her Varor Death Worshipper. Now, my infected zombie will be dropped down to 1. So if I make an attack here, it'll only last that 1 more attack, should they end up playing anything. But that's okay, because by then, the Varor Death Worshipper will be in my hands. So, let's watch the chaos unfold. Ah! He's played the demon into his assault zone. Kind of expected. Now that will join my team eventually. Oh. That got rid of my defender. Now, I've just dealt some damage. I should mention, there are 2 ways you can beat your enemy. You can either destroy their health or their morale. Now, to destroy their health, you merely do damage. But to destroy their morale, you need to take a look at the morale cost of their cards. Now, this demon costs 3 to summon, but has a cost of 4 morale. When I destroy this card, if I destroy it that is, it will cause the enemy's morale to drop by 4 points. Now, if I move my pack leader, swap these around, play another one of many in there, and use Caretaker of the Young. Now, let's have a look at what else I can do. Candid, head researcher. Draw 2 cards. A leader, immortal sorceress. In graveyard for 6 consecutive turns, she returns to play. Exhaust and pay 4, deal 6 damage to a target character in the combat zone. Personally, I'm going to do the smart thing and weaken their demon with my firebolts. And then I'm also going to remove their researcher. But what I'm also going to do is move my Endless Horde there. Now, whenever Endless Horde dies, every other Endless Horde in your deck gets a +1 to their attack and vitality. So let's do this. Oh, Hellmouth. Now, field cards. These are interesting ones, like I said with the Breeding Ground. But this one is much different. By casting 6 of their resources into the Hellmouth, they can summon 2 6x6 flying demon characters. Now, I think that's a little bit overpowered, but who am I to judge? So let's weaken their demon, destroy their researcher. What the? Oh, it's because my creature wasn't on the field when he was out. Now this isn't good. They're starting to level the playing field. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the Varroa Death Worshipper as is. I'll then play that, summon that there, and use Caretaker of the Young to breed with another one of many. Then, to finish my turn, I'll heal myself. Wait. Oh, this only works on a non-artificial character. So basically it'll only work on one of my monsters. And it'd be wasteful to use it on any of these because they're not strong enough. It would work on the pack leader, but he never gets attacked. So here's hoping he doesn't. You'll also notice that they haven't been defending that much in this game. Now this is why I like this deck. You can progressively increase the number of creatures you have in your deck and have them in your zone, and then when you feel the time is right, just rush the field with them. Potentially even kill your enemy off in one quick stroke. Battlefield Scavenger. At the end of each turn, if Battlefield Scavenger is in the defensive zone, you draw a card. If it dies, draw another card. Now, this is what I mean by the Cult of Varroa. They like to be able to pull out loads of different cards and annoy the hell out of you with them. And because this Varroa deck, I lost 2 resource. Oh, of course! I realise why I can't attack that one. It's flying. There's only one thing I can do in a situation like this. Okay. Put another breeder here. And move all units onto offensive side. And then cast Fear. Play Death Worshipper of Varroa as well. Oh, Demon of Gluttony. It flies. It gets +8 per turn. And it'll only attack if you sacrifice the character this turn. Now this is where things get a bit awry. He has a Scavenger, which he could sacrifice, and a Demon which he could sacrifice. He can also sacrifice a Leader. Now, if I was playing this deck, I'd play it smart and sacrifice a Leader first. Then I'd sacrifice the Scavenger to draw another card. Then the Demon. Now, it's a bit out of order in terms of damage first, but it works, because by the time I've sacrificed the Demon, there'll only be half the amount of turns left to summon a Leader. And by then I'll probably have more creatures to sacrifice for the Demon of Gluttony. But I'm not playing that deck. I'm playing the Corpus Zergade. So let's play that. Move this over here. I'm not going to sit around and watch my enemies whittle away at my health. Especially with a flying demon. I'm going to tear their health down before they can even touch me. So I'm going to go full frontal assault and breed. Now what he's just done is sacrifice one of his scavengers to increase its damage and allow it to attack, which isn't going to be good. He's also summoned 2 demons, but that is redundant now because I've killed him. And with 12 health left to spare. So as you can see, because I won, I gained IP, which is basically the earnable currency. I also earn a little bit of XP for winning. Now, I won with 12 health and 88 morale to spare. He lost with minus 61 health because of the colossal amount of damage I did with my Zerg Rush. He also had 86 morale. So overall, I had more than he did throughout the entire game. So let's return to the menu. Now, I'm not sure whether I've earned anything from that, but I can always have a look. Any rewards you get in the game from daily logins, completing different storyline chapters, anything, it'll appear in your inventory. So allow me to show you. The campaign works for every faction. The Warpath, the Flame Dawn, the Genesis Industries, the Cult of Varor, the Descendants of the Dragon, the Sleepers of Avarash, and the Exiles. Now, I don't really want to spoil the campaign for you, but I don't want to leave you on a cliffhanger to understand where rewards come from. So I'm going to go for my next favourite faction, the Descendants of the Dragon. Dowdy, Sage of Strength. Now, it looks like these cards have a focus on defensive capabilities. The increase of their vitality and such. If Invincible Defender is dealt combat damage but survives, the player that dealt damage loses 4 morale. Ah, I see. Balanced Warrior. Personally, I think that should come after I've played some strong defense. So let's think tactically. I'll play Dowday in the defense zone. They've played an Invincible Defender. So let's put an Invincible Defender in our defense zone as well. Look at them. They're only putting them in defense. So let's put this up a little bit. I find it funny how we're not even attacking at the moment. All we're doing is putting cards into the defense sector. Now, Invincible Defenders have Vigilance, which allows them to defend immediately from play. Now I'm going to play Dowday all the way at the back. That way he won't die so easily. Now what I think he's done is placed Balanced Warrior over here. Now I'll play another Dowday Invincible Defender. I won't play Dowday's ability yet, but I will play a Balanced Warrior. I personally don't think that a Balanced Warrior will be able to completely destroy his defenders. I mean, take a look. We've only got 6 attack and vitality, and that goes down whenever we take damage. So what we want to do is keep those in the support zone for now. Now, this is where he's slipped up. He's played a Balanced Warrior in his attack zone when I've got an endless line of defense. And that's essentially damaged his morale. So let's play these and keep him in the support zone. See, his morale is dropping rapidly. And what I'm going to do now is play Dowdy's ability. And this is where Dowdy's ability comes in. If we sweep the field with these, activate Dowdy again, their vitality goes up again, as does their attack. See, what I've now realised is that this deck is all about patience and the maintenance of a great deal of defensive capability. Dowdy is obviously the keystone in breaching his own deck's defence. So let's amplify them one more time and play. Now, clearly, he's ran out of cards to play, and he doesn't want to play any more defensive because he knows that my deck has exhausted his. This deck, I know I've said it many times before, it's all about patience. But when you play this deck, you play a waiting game. You wait until you've exhausted your enemy. And you wait and wait, stacking the attack of your balanced warriors. Now, if there were any cards in another deck that suited this, say for example the Warpath, here we go, I've won. If there were any cards like that in the Warpath that gained or lost attack equal to the amount of health, I would have Dowdy in my deck just to amplify that card. Eventually it'd get to a point where that card became an absolute tank of a beast. So now that we've won a chapter, let's see what reward we get. Ta-da! We just earned a reward for completing chapter 1. Huh? That ain't right. Well, the point is, you win a chapter and you unlock a prize. They'll appear here as little golden coins like the one you saw up on my monitor just then. You click on them and you unlock the prize. It'll either be a booster pack, a single card, or maybe like 5 cards, which is pretty useful overall. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties with my connection, so the store is currently offline. But that's all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, and feel free to drop a comment if you have any suggestions for more content, and I'll maybe take that on board. I'm more likely than not will, if it's a sound enough suggestion. Also, if you can see here, this is my universal invite code. Ever get interested in playing this game, by all means use my code. You'll be helping me out and I'll be helping you out as well. So, thank you and goodbye!